Hey everybody, Paul here with ADV for Me. Welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in. So just a little bit of housekeeping quickly. Just want to let everybody know that I'm super excited. I've got 250 subscribers, almost. By the end of this video, I'll hopefully have 250 subscribers, which is pretty cool because I started this channel really focusing on it in December. So I'm happy about that. So thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate that you do that. So we are now in episode number 3 of the Spring Fever maintenance series, and today we're going to be doing wheel bearing maintenance. I'm not doing a full deep dive in replacing my my bearings because I've only got 12,500 kilometers on the bike. We're just checking on them, going to grease them up and make sure that everything looks good. So stay tuned. Okay, so today's video didn't really start the way that I wanted it to. I was just doing a quick check on the pinch bolts to make sure that they were loose and I could get them off for the video. And sad to say, I stripped one. I did. It was seized, and I rounded the nut off and spent literally an hour trying to get it off. I ended up actually rounding it off so badly that I had to use a grinder just to grind 2 flat spots on the sides to try and get a pair of vice grips on there. And eventually it did work, but not before drilling it out and trying to use a self-tapping screw. I've had success in the past of actually driving in a self-tapping screw into it and reversing it out, but it broke. So that's when I panicked a little bit. Anyways, heat is your friend and vice grips in a pinch. That's good, in a pinch. Will definitely get you out of trouble. So I got to order another one of these from the dealer. I'm going to order 2 of them actually. So anyways, we're going to get into removing the front wheel. We already took the back wheel off in episode number 2, which I'll refer to now. So what you need to start is you need to get yourself a 27mm socket to remove the back wheel. Let's pull out the nut and washer. I do this so that I can get the chain off without having to adjust these sliders. And now we're going to remove the front wheel. So if you just come on around here. So as you can see, I've already got one of them out, this bad boy here, which was the pain in the ass bolt, which again, I'm going to replace. These require a 10mm socket, so these are your pinch bolts, so you need to loosen these in order to remove the axle. So I'll just go ahead and loosen this. Again, I've already got this loosened earlier. When you tighten these back up, they require 15 foot-pounds of torque. So we'll take that out. And then you need a 19mm hex head. And I'm going to use my drill here just to make this quick. Now, I do have the bike up on the lift. I'm just going to lean it forward a little bit. That's good. That's out. Should be all the way out. Yep. We'll just give this a quick little tap on the inside over here. And out she comes. So this should be nicely greased. It's not. It looks a little dry, which we will take care of today. So there's your axle. I'm going to remove the caliper here as well, just because the calipers actually pinch, they catch the wheel at the back. All right, so I've got the 12mm socket here for the caliper. I'll put this on here. Okay. Now the caliper can just be pushed aside. You can roll the wheel out. Voila. One thing I did fail to mention before taking off both the back and the front wheel, if you've got more kilometers on your bike and you want to check your bearings, just give your wheel a shake. Your wheel shouldn't move side to side or up and down. So if you've got any movement while your wheels are installed on the bike, your bearings are likely needing a replacement. So this here is the axle obviously passes through here. This here, I've got 0 play between the dust seal and this, I'm going to call it a bushing. There's no play at all, so that's a good sign. So when I pull this out, we'll be able to get a better look inside. It still looks nice and, actually it's a little dirty, but not too bad. I've got this pry bar here that I'm going to use just to pop this out. So it does require a little bit of force. You just work your way around and the seal will pop right out. So there's a little bit of grease in there, not a whole lot. Could use a little cleaning. I was more curious to see what the bearings look like, because I did throw quite a bit of adventure at this bike this year, and we went through a ton of water, deep water, and it still looks pretty decent. See if I can get the camera to focus on that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the cush hub right off and take a look at the inside bearing as well. Okay, looking good. No rust, which is nice. This is a great time too, when you've got your wheels off, obviously, to give them a good clean. Take them outside and use the power washer. Don't wash them in the kitchen sink. Don't tell mom. And what I also like to do is just check for any loose spokes. Obviously, loose spokes can be, checked on the wheels on the bike, but this is a good time to just to inspect your spokes. And what I'll also do before putting it back on the bike is I will spray some ACF 50 on a cloth, and I'll give the spokes a nice wipe down just to give them a little bit of protection, future protection. I'm going to go ahead and take some brake clean and clean this area completely, and then we will clean and repack the dust seal. So now what I'm going to do is just take some brake clean, and I'm just going to give this a couple sprays. Try and avoid the actual bearings. Let that soak in a little bit. And then I'll take a cloth and I'll just give her a nice wipe down. And then I'll just grab another clean cloth. After I've cleaned it, I'll take some ACF 50 and I'll just give it a quick spray. And then I'll just give it a quick wipe. This stuff is really great for anti-corrosion. Okay, so I've given that a nice wipe down, cleaned it with the brake clean, and just give it a quick coating of the ACF 50. And now we'll just get this back up onto the hub. So I also cleaned out inside the pocket in behind the cush hub, and what I'm going to do is I'll just put a little bit of grease in there. There wasn't a whole lot in there, and I don't think that they really put too much in there, but I'm just going to put just a little dab in there. I don't think it'll hurt. So I did already to inspect inside the cush hub. I've cleaned it all out earlier. There's no rocks or any grime or dirt in there. It looks pretty good. Again, I'm just going to put a little bit of waterproof grease, and what I'm using is the Bel-Ray waterproof grease. Got this at my local dealer. I'm just going to put just a little dab on the inside. Oops, wrong side. On the inside. Not a ton, just a little bit. And then we'll just seat that back on there. Good. And now what I'll do too is I'm going to go ahead and take the seal, and I'm going to take a small screwdriver, and I'm just going to clean out the grooves in the actual seal and give it a nice wipe down. And inside as well, we'll clean out the back as well, get all the gunk out of there before we repack it with grease. So again, my seals were in good shape. So I'm just going to give them a nice clean. Again, a lot of the things that I'm doing, I don't really need to be doing based on the kilometers that I have, but you know what? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so they say. And to be honest, I'm bored as so this just gives me something to do, and it's a great time to go over the bike and make sure that everything is in good order for the spring. So now I'm just going to give this bushing a wipe down here. Get all the grime off of it. Looking good. Okay. Now I'll just take some grease and I'll just pack it inside the dust seal. Again, you don't need a lot. So I'll just give this a quick wipe too with my finger. Again, make sure that everything's clean. And then we'll go ahead and we'll press that back in. Usually you can just use your fingers just to get it back in. Sometimes you've got to give it a little tap, but it's going in perfectly. And then toss your bushing back in. Perfect. All right, now I'm just going to grab the shaft. So the actual shaft looks dirty. I'll just give it a quick spray off camera here. And same thing with this, before putting it back into the bike, I'll go ahead and just give it a liberal lube job. There you go, I just greased my shaft on the internet. All right, I'm going to set that aside. And I'll take the cush hub off, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this. Actually, yeah, I'll flip it up. I'll take it off and flip it upside down. Take a look at the other side. Okay, same thing on this side here. We'll just check for play. There's no play. I'll take my little pry bar here and just slowly work this up. There you go. And ooh, a little bit of corrosion on this side. Still a little bit of rust on the inside of there. So I'm going to clean that out. Just going to get in there with the screwdriver and I'll clean out anything that's loose in there. And I'm going to give it a spray with ACF 50 and then I'll dry it out and then I'll repack that bearing. So I'll just work in some of that ACF 50. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean these all out, dry them off, and I'll be right back. All right, so with the front, you've got these spacers here, which are both the same size left and right, so you don't have to be too alarmed if you mix them up. I'm just going to set them aside. I didn't clean the front wheel yet, but I will do that off camera. Again, I'll quickly check for loose spokes. They're all good. So for the front, you're back, same thing. You've got the bushings on the outside, or the dust seals, which you can just pop out carefully. There we go. This little pry bar I have works great. It doesn't deform them anyway. So this guy here looks a little dry, but no rust. So I'm just going to give this a nice clean. Again, I'll take a little screwdriver and just clean out any junk that's caught inside the dust seal. And we'll repack it with some fresh grease. Looks good. Had to take a couple days for the weather to get a bit nicer. It was pretty cold here the last couple of days, like minus 25, I think, and it just takes way too long for the garage heater to heat the space up when it's that cold, so I had to wait a bit. Give these guys a wipe. Just gonna give these a quick spray with some brake clean. I think the brake clean's eating the gloves. I just blew a tire. I'll just do the other side. Bing, bang, boom. And you can see that. It's pretty dry. It's pretty... I'm actually glad I'm doing this because it is a little dirty in there. A little dry. A little bit of rust. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that out. Oh, it's pretty dry, actually. I'm not using too much force here. I'm just trying to get some of the loose stuff off. Okay, I got the dust seal here. It's all cleaned out. Now I'm just going to repack it. I need a new glove. All right. That should do it. Give this a quick rub. And back in she goes. And that's it, folks. That's all there is to it. All right, so just gonna quickly put away the grease. So I'm not gonna be putting the wheels back on this video because it's basically the same thing as taking them off, reverse process. Make sure your pads are spread apart in the front when you slide them back on, makes it a bit easier. And yeah, the next video is gonna be actually removing the rear swing arm. And after that, we're gonna be taking off the forks and the steering head to get inside there to make sure that's all greased. One thing I didn't talk about was tool of the week. Tool of the week, folks. So when your son pulls this out of his bag and says, "Hey, Dad, I made you this at school," you find a way of talking about it. So I had to showcase this bad boy. So I'm calling it the T7 mechanic calibration tool. So before I operate on my T7, I make sure that, I make sure that I have the skills to make it all the way around with only touching it 17 times. No, I can do it. I can do it. Watch, I can do it. I'll cheat and use one finger too. Anyways, you get the idea. Awesome. So I had to showcase that. So anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. I know I'm babbling. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.